We ready? I'll wait for Steven to stop
Sorry
yawning.
about that. All right.
That was exciting.
I'm good now. I'm ready. I got the eye of the tiger now.
3 non-blondes. All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Another Bourbon Show. I'm really looking forward to tonight's episode. Tonight, we're going to be drinking something that none of us paid for. And that is an especially cool fucking feeling, I've got to tell you. Tonight, we're going to be drinking this guy right here. Some Spirits of French Lick. Fascination Street. If you remember back a couple episodes ago, we had Alan Bishop, the master distiller from Spirits of French Lick, on. And one thing that didn't make it to the podcast was him telling us that this is the one that we should try. And he gave us a lead that sealbox.com, the owner, had a couple that he had stashed away for himself. So we took the liberty of emailing Derek, the owner, CEO of sealbox.com, and said, hey, come off one of those bottles, dude. And no shit, he did. He sent it to us free of charge. So I think that Blake deserves a round of applause. Like, that was a huge solid, in my opinion. So tonight we're going to be drinking this, and it is
How come you said
not bourbon.
You said Derek and then you said Blake?
Oh, because it... Shit, what's his fucking name?
Yeah, why don't we get that
Let
right?
me clarify. His last name is Ribber.
It's Blake. I think it's Blake. I believe it's
send
Blake.
these assholes a bottle.
It's Blake.
Yeah, I believe it was Blake. So
I think you should absolutely not edit that, by the way. Just leave it that I fucked up his name, okay?
Well, in all fairness, I think even though he complimented our podcast and was very kind, I believe he probably wouldn't know our names either. So
correct, yeah.
We're all on the same page there. We appreciate.
And I'm not even confident that he's ever listened to our podcast. There's a good chance that Alan just gave the thumbs up, and so Blake was just like, well, I'm going to say that it's a great podcast, whether I've listened to it or not. But Blake, if you do listen, I apologize for fucking up your name. If you don't, then that's fine. You gave us a free bottle of liquor. But tonight it is not bourbon. It's not at all. This is absinthe. It's absinthe finished in a bourbon barrel. So it's absinthe that's been matured in a bourbon barrel for 2 full years. It's 53% alcohol by volume, giving it 106 proof. Before we do anything else, though, Steven, what do you think of that, babe?
Yeah, it's a cool label. Unlike, there's been several of the Spirits of French Lick labels we've done already that I have not liked very much. Granted, they are now...
you seem to enjoy trashing their labels.
I wouldn't go that far, but I just have not enjoyed them very much. I'll say that. Okay, I think that's fair to say. Haven't enjoyed them very much. That's like the 4 range. Just didn't enjoy them very much, okay? But I didn't feel like that strongly. But now they are updating them, though. They're going through... And by the way, before I go any further, Alan himself trashed them way harder than I did. I said like 4. He was like, I'll do you one better. It's 3.5 or whatever. So, this one I'm still not overly impressed by, but it's nicer looking than the other ones. So I'm going to give it a 6. I think it's a solid label. I think I like the name more than I like the overall bottle itself, but it has a different feel to it. You know that it's not whiskey looking at it. There's something about like the absinthe label itself, other than just the name, like the word absinthe being there at the bottom. It just kind of looks like a different bottle. Something about it gives the feel of a different liquor being in it. I like the bottle shape. I think it all fits well, so I'm giving it a 6. But I will say that I do like a lot of the Spirits of French Lick labels coming out now. I think they're doing a great job updating it. It's a really slick looking line now, I feel.
Yeah, no, I agree with you about their new labels are pretty freaking sweet. That William Dalton weeded that they've got, I love that label. I'm not the label guy, but but I think it's a very cool looking label on their new ones.
Yeah,
Um,
they were
I want to.
in
Oh,
the
go ahead.
past. They were clearly up and coming, and they were juice forward. They were juice first, and now they're. It seems like they're just generally paying more attention and putting more effort into the brand image as well.
Mhm.
And I think that's just gonna make them an even better, you know, product overall. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because what they the stuff that they distill is pretty goddamn good in my opinion. Um,
And people are starting to know about them, so making a little bit more money over at the
hmm
distillery. So
hmm
the
and
bottles will get better, hopefully.
I
I mean, they are, which is good.
I think the Fascination Street. Another reason I gave it a 6 is because it's like I said, it's not particularly showy or anything, but it's a nice looking bottle, and I think it's still a step up, and it catches your eye way more than the Absinthe Le Bleu. The Absinthe Le Bleu, if you guys haven't seen it, and I mean the listeners, I know you guys have probably seen it, but if the listeners or viewers have not seen that, it is a very basic label. There, Dan's got it. It's essentially the Weeder label, but it's blue and it matches like the blue glass. If you're not a hardcore absinthe fan looking out like craft distillers for absinthe, you're not going to pull this off the shelf. I feel like you're just not. And I know that Alan was talking about how like it's important to him, or he feels that absinthe should get its moment soon. And I just feel like with bottles like the Absinthe Le Bleu, it's a tougher sell. There's so many great looking products on the shelf. It's just it's visually it's a big deal, I think. So Fascination Street looks way more interesting. I want to know what that product tastes like. So
so let's do it. So Ryan and I are going to be drinking a Sazerac cocktail. Uh, we will also all three be sipping it neat. Um, and I'm super excited, looking forward to trying this. You guys just sipped some of the Absinthe Le Bleu when Alan was on, right?
yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So you guys will have some idea how to compare it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's give it a go. Nose is just straight up black licorice.
Yep.
yeah.
Still just
The bourbon barrel aging, I'll say from the nose and just from my experience with other stuff where they were marketing it as bourbon barrel aged. In my experience, it doesn't it doesn't do much. Um, I'm waiting to see. I'm open minded, and I'd love to hear what Alan, if he were here, what he would say about what that bourbon barrel aging does. But in practice, I've never really seen it make a difference in the stuff I've had.
the one thing I've ever noticed that aging in a used bourbon barrel does is I've noticed it tends to mellow whatever went into it, right? So like I don't know if you guys have any of the Absinthe Le Bleu left over, but like, and I don't have a glass to do this, although I could get
I
one.
I do still have some in the other room, so I could grab that in a moment.
If we did a side by side comparison, I'm willing to bet that the Fascination Street is just a little bit like it tames the flavors of the absinthe from one, from being in that bourbon barrel. I would bet.
I feel the same way. It's definitely not as strong or overbearing on the nose.
I haven't tasted it yet, so I'm gonna. Oh, on the nose.
Yeah, on the nose, like compared to the Le Bleu, it's definitely a little more tame.
Oh, I love this. When Now, first of all, I like black licorice. When it coated the like tip of my tongue, it was like phenomenal black licorice. And then as it got to like the middle of my tongue, the flavors changed, and as it went across the entire tongue, it kept changing flavors until it went down my throat. And super smooth to me. Super smooth.
I
It's
agree that
definitely a
it's
smoother absinthe. Yeah, than I usually they're harder for me to drink, and I definitely enjoy this one a little more than the other one that we had.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I agree with Ryan. I think this is more of a sipper absinthe, but I'm still not picking up all that you did, Dan. It's mainly just a smoother experience. But I'm only picking up mainly the licorice. It's not changing too much for me, but maybe it's a little more mellow.
So you don't think the oak really does much to it flavor wise?
I don't from my first sip.
By the time it gets to the back of my throat, I'm getting like a candy corn. Which so I don't like candy corn, but this is like that's the only flavor that I can like compare it to. But I like the flavor, even though I don't like candy corn.
A little spice to it at the end too, peppery. You know, a lot of pepper.
Yeah, my tongue's dancing, right?
Yeah.
Like
It's
in
like
a
the
good
very
way.
tip. It's like the very tip of the tongue. It's very weird.
Hmm. I like this a lot. If y'all don't like it, just go ahead and send me your 6 ounces back.
No, I definitely like it too. I mean, I'm college. I was always a little dicey with absinthe, so it always kind of scared me to drink later on. But this is good. It's good. It's smooth.
I'm picking up like a lemon zest too, like a lemon zest and honey. I don't know. Now I'm just making shit up. No, I'm
To
just kidding.
me, see, to me, I'm still not getting any of
Caramel.
that. To me, the one thing I think I'm really noticing is it's a little bit smoother overall, just marginally so. That I would sip this more than the Absinthe Blue. And the other thing that I'm noticing is that I think it's more intense on the licorice flavor. I think it's more. I guess you'd say it's more anise forward, maybe.
Hmm.
Seems like that's coming forward quite a bit more than the Absinthe Blue. The Absinthe Blue was just a more mellow absinthe overall. I felt like a good absinthe, by all accounts, but it just seemed like everything is heightened on this.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think I would agree with you that this has got more of a black licorice flavor, but I don't know that maybe it is softened, except for the black licorice. I don't know, but I like it a lot.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's that punchy, but I feel like it's pretty strong on the black licorice taste.
Hmm. Well, this is what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to this. A Sazerac cocktail. First of all, I told you guys already on the Alan Bishop episode, I like a Sazerac. And the minute he said anything about absinthe finished in a bourbon barrel, I was like, ooh, Sazerac should be bomb with that. So this is a Sazerac that I used Rittenhouse rye for. Decided to use some of my Rittenhouse for that. And folks, if you're not familiar with Sazerac, it's basically you coat the glass with some absinthe, add a sugar cube and some water, or just like a teaspoon, tablespoon, whatever you want of a simple syrup. But if you just go with sugar cube and water, stir it up until it's dissolved. A couple dashes of Peychaud's bitters, couple dashes of Angostura bitters, and then like 2 or 3 ounces of a rye. You can add some cognac, like if you go with 3 ounces of rye or bourbon, that's fine. Or go with like an ounce and a half of rye and an ounce and a half of cognac, either one. Or get crazy with it and do something else if you want to. But this one is Rittenhouse rye, 3 ounces, and everything else exactly how I mentioned. So, Ryan, I'm going to take a sip of this. Oh, and I like to garnish with Luxardo cherries instead of. A lot of times they'll tell you to garnish with lemon, but I prefer Luxardo cherry pretty much always.
Maybe that lemon zest you got on the taste from the absinthe, you'll taste
Yeah,
in
see,
this, so you won't need it.
don't even need it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, hot damn, that's good.
That's good. Oh, burn
Yeah.
anything. A little. It's sweet for sure.
Yeah. Damn. Hey Ryan, how did you mix your Sazerac?
I used rye. I didn't have any Peychaud's bitter, so I just used Angostura.
Okay.
But pretty much did everything you did, but no cherry at the end. I was
Okay.
just too lazy to open the Luxardo. Was
Yeah.
giving me a little bit of an issue, and I was like, you know what? Screw this. No cherry. I
Yeah.
never eat the cherry anyway. It's just more for taste. So yeah, same thing. I used your favorite Woodford rye, the bottle of. So did some of that. Yeah, it's good. I put a little extra absinthe in to coat the glass a little extra, and I left a little. I know they say you should discard whatever's left over, but I kept it in.
I did the same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, there was about like on the bottom of my glass, it was about that much thick of absinthe at the bottom, and I was just like, I'm not dumping that. Oops.
I didn't want to dump it.
You see, Alan, I don't consider it a mixer, so I'm just having the absinthe itself. So
It's a coater. A coater. Coats.
Yeah, I like this a lot. Hey, Steven, I meant to ask this earlier, so I'm going to come back to it. The fact that this is named Fascination Street, which, as Alan mentioned while he was with us last time, is a direct reference to a song by The Cure. Does that affect anything about the rating of the bottle or the label or anything like that for you? And we would play that song except for fuck DCMA.
yeah, it does affect things because I am somebody that if I think a name of something is interesting, I'm gonna look it up. You know what I mean? And if you just Google Fascination Street, it'll probably come up, and then now you're in the rabbit hole of like basically even if you don't like the bottle, maybe Alan turned you on to some music you haven't listened to before. So that's all cool to me. Like, I don't know. Anytime you can have a product that's more than just some dude's name, I think it's cool. I mean, you can also do some dude's name, which Spirits of French Lick does a lot. And if they're an interesting historical figure, that's cool too. I don't mean to knock that, but it stands out more when it's not just some guy's name. I'll say that. So I think it's a cool name.
Okay, cool.
And also,
Yeah.
I guess, I mean, I've heard the song probably once or twice, but apparently Robert Smith was hammered in New Orleans, so that was the like inspiration for the song. So it kind of
Oh,
ties
no
the
kidding.
Sazerac cocktail to New Orleans in the song, all the one. Yeah,
That's really cool. I didn't know that. That's awesome though. Yeah, if you go to Google and type in Fascination Street, it's actually really hard to find any information about this bottle. Like it's hard to track down information on this strictly based on using the name Fascination Street. Everything leads to The Cure. So, I thought that was pretty cool.
do those guys still play?
I don't think so.
Let's go. I mean, I saw a picture of the lead singer a few years ago, and he looks a little scary.
Kind of always did though. So
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say. So he looks
Yeah,
the
but-
same.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he ate himself. He's a little bigger now.
Oh, really?
Maybe it's all the booze. His hair's still nuts.
Less cocaine.
All over the
Less
place.
heroin.
Probably, yeah.
who looks like shit always is that kid from Terminator. Forgetting his name right now.
The kid?
Yeah, in American History X. What's that kid's name?
Oh shit.
I want to say it's like Edward or Ed or something like that.
You're not talking about Edward Norton.
No, but I think this kid's name is also Ed, or maybe I'm just conflating it with Edward Norton in American History X. But I thought his name was like somebody.
Is it gonna bug you?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to Google him.
Hey, so this is the first episode after the conclusion of Rye Month. What'd you guys think of Rye Month? Was that fun for you guys?
It was. It opened my eyes a little bit because I've always been more of a bourbon drinker, but you kind of get this perception of rye, and I don't think the whiskey companies have done a good job, like the best job marketing rye or getting. I mean, it is getting more popular, but people are still kind of scared of it for whatever reason. They'd rather go to bourbon, but I never thought I'd get all those flavor profiles I got from a rye, just because, I really like, like mellow corn. Like I like higher corn, whiskeys in content. But some of those are real decadent, and I just didn't expect it from a spicy whiskey,
Mm-hmm.
So I was glad. There's a lot of good ones, including one I won't name, but it was good.
So during Rye Month, we tasted 4, 7, 11 different ryes. What were your 3 favorites?
3 favorites. Man. Well, definitely the Angel's Envy rye.
Was number 1.
Yeah, I mean, I gave it a 9.0, so technically it's my second highest rated whiskey I've ever given on here.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the Rittenhouse. Old Overholt wasn't bad either. I'm blanking on one big one that I'm forgetting.
Pikesville, Rare Breed Rye.
Was it the
Michter's.
Midsummer? Michter's is great. The High West one we did, Midsummer Night's Dram, was really good, and I saved a little bit of that at the end of the last episode and drank it a little more. I think I would have appreciated it a lot more if Angel's Envy Rye wasn't on the same day.
Mm-hmm.
But in its own right, it's good too.
Mm-hmm.
And Michter's, all those flavor profiles you get from a rye that's what, 90
84 proof,
86 proof, whatever it was.
Yeah.
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 It was good. I'm excited. I mean, I'm gonna, go out of my way to, if I see a hard to get rye from any of these companies, I'll be first in line for sure.
Mm-hmm. Cool. What about you, Steven?
I think my favorites were the for sure Angel's Envy Finnish rye was like the number 1, and then my next favorite was probably either Barrel Seagrass or Rittenhouse. So to break the tie, I got to go with Rittenhouse because it's so damn cheap. So I would say in that order is probably Angel's Envy, the Rittenhouse, and then the Barrel Seagrass. But I like the Pikesville a lot too. That's definitely on my radar now as well. But there was honestly, I don't think we had a bad one in the bunch. But I still am the one thing that's lasting. The 2 enduring memories I'll have of Rye Month will be how much I liked Angel's Envy Rye and how disappointed I was in the Midwinter Night's Dram. Because unlike Ryan, I returned to the Midwinter Night's Dram a few nights ago and just and had the rest. I have it a little bit left, and I tried that, and I was like, I did like it more not being right up against the Angel's Envy Rye, but I still stand by giving it I think a 6.8 or whatever. It was kind of my knee-jerk score, and I stand by that. 6.8 is not a bad score by any means, but I just had such high hopes for it, and it just fell so flat for me. I feel like it didn't have that. Out of all the rest of the ryes we had, the 7 ryes we had over those 2 episodes, just those 2 episodes, I think that it was the one that had the least amount of charisma to it. It had the least amount of character to it. It tasted like a nice rye, but if you handed that to me and you were like, hey, this is the new, Elijah Craig $30 straight rye, I would have believed you, which is not what you want out of a very hard to get limited release with such an awesome label and aesthetic to it.
Yeah. One bottle that in hindsight I wish I had figured out a way to include is probably one of the out of all of the bottles on the planet, it might be top 5 of the ones that I think more people need to know about and appreciate. And we didn't try it. And that's a regret, but that's because I was out of it and I didn't think about replacing the bottle until it was way too late. But it's called Sagamore Spirits. They're double oaked. Trust me, I promise you, if you see Sagamore Spirits double oaked on the shelf, it'll be $55, $60. Grab it. Matter of fact, grab 2. They're not going to sell out, but you'll be glad that you don't have to run to the liquor store once the first one is gone. It is so goddamn good. So if you see it,
I've
grab
definitely seen it. I've definitely seen it out before. Never thought to pick it up.
yeah, you're not going to see it at a. You're going to have to go to an actual liquor store to find it.
Yeah.
But if you see it, just trust me, listeners especially, grab a Sagamore Spirit. Grab anything from Sagamore. All of their stuff is really good. They've got a cask strength, a straight rye, um, one that's like finished in a Madeira cask, maybe. Can't remember if it's Madeira or something else. All of their stuff is really good, but in my personal opinion, the one that rises above everything else very easily is their double oaked. So if you see one, grab one and thank me later.
Oh, Dan, I was in a new account that opened, and it's not mine, but it's nice. It's kind of like an Eataly. I don't know if you know what like an Eataly. It's like a lot of like fresh food you order. There's some groceries, but it's more of like the experience of like eating and drinking and like enjoying it while you shop. And
Okay.
they had a high-end whiskey section. And what was that whiskey you absolutely hated that we did on the that wasn't it from like northern Illinois somewhere?
Oh, Whiskey Acres
Whiskey. I saw
or
they
Bourbon
had, like,
Acres or whatever it is.
yeah, they had like 4 facings of that there, and I was like, oh man, if Dan was here, he'd flip out right now.
No, I wouldn't flip out because
not flip out, but there were too many facings. I feel like you would think that, and for the store,
yeah,
there's probably better things they can have up there.
Mm-hmm.
But
I could be wrong, but
I thought of you.
I think I saw in a newsletter that Sealbox, friend of the show, unofficially sponsored this episode. Sealbox,
Thanks,
I think Doug. I believe that they just started carrying Whiskey Acres, and I think they changed the label. So
maybe. And here's the thing: I've talked to quite a few people about my experience with Whiskey Acres, and I have found that I am actually in the minority here, and I'm okay with that. Look, we all have different flavor profiles. We have different flavor preferences. That's why they make so many different types of bourbons and whiskey. So I'm not going to discourage you from trying Whiskey Acres, but y'all going to have to try pretty goddamn hard to get me to drink it again. And I won't be buying it again. One of you two fuckers can buy it, but I will not be purchasing it again in the future. But again, I've heard that they've got a bottle and bond version that's really good. Yeah, I've heard they've got a couple different offerings that are pretty good, but it's just not for me at all.
Maybe I'll try some. Maybe I'm at a bar and I see it. I'll order it and I'll let you know how I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, the distillery's not too far from you.
No, let me see.
It's is that in Rockford?
It's in DeKalb. So
DeKalb, there we go.
Yeah, so that's where the very prestigious Northern Illinois University is. The Harvard of the Midwest. But that they had a great football team there for a couple of years, which was weird. That Jordan Lynch kid actually went to the same high school as my dad, who was their quarterback, and he tried to make it on the Bears, but I think he tried out for like every single position on the team besides quarterback, because they're like, listen, you're like Tim Tebow, you're not going to be playing. You're not playing NFL, playing like that.
Look, if he tried to make the Bears and he didn't make it, he's not very good.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, what the hell is going on with the mail? I'm still waiting on a check from January. That's not a joke.
I know.
I had to like make a couple calls and they did a direct deposit, but I've not received the check.
Can I give you some advice?
For what?
Stop waiting. Okay, that seems to be what the problem is at this point. Okay, it's like you're not.
Everyone else has moved on.
Yeah,
I got the money, but you think like at some point the check would surface?
Now take a hint. Okay, they're not interested. Okay.
Well, guys, what do you say we rate this bitch?
Let's do it. It's going to be, we're going to have to say off the bat here, this rating is not going to be the normal bourbon scale.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, I don't even know how to rate this.
I think we just do Absinthe Le Bleu as our 5.0. Personally, I can't think of a better way to do it.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I think that's fair. Let me pour a little bit of this real quick just to
But what if
refresh
the
my
Le Bleu
memory.
is like a 6.5?
Is your absinthe scale that fucking nuanced? Really?
I
Is
don't
that what
know.
you're telling me? Because mine isn't. I'm just basically comparing it to the Absinthe Le Bleu, and I'll tell you how much more I liked it or something.
Nothing is fucked here, dude.
I think Absinthe Le Bleu seems to be, from what Alan was saying, kind of a standard offering, and they're aware
Run
of
of the
it.
mill. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking earlier when you were talking about Absinthe Le Bleu, Stephen, the fact that he specified that when, like, the bottle that they chose.
what a cool
Can you hear my
dog.
dog?
Was that a
Oh,
dog? Was
yeah.
that a dog?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I figured. When they chose the bottle for this, one of the reasons they chose the bottle and the label was because it saved them like $4 a bottle or something like that. And his entire goal was to get this into restaurants to be used as their like rail absinthe, basically. And so I think you're exactly right, Stephen. I think that it's perfectly appropriate to use the Absinthe Le Bleu as a 5.0.
I think we have a long way to go before bars have like rail absinthe. You know, there's got to be some sort of absinthe renaissance because, you know, I don't think a lot of people are drinking absinthe right now at this point in time, and maybe they
Did
will.
nobody ever
You know?
come in? Did nobody ever come in and say, "Yeah, I want a Sazerac cocktail"?
Not once,
Really?
never once. Yeah.
No, Dan,
No.
we all have student loans, okay? We're not buying Sazeracs, all right? We don't all.
A Sazerac is no more expensive than a Manhattan.
It seems like it would be. I'll tell you that much. Manhattans? I mean, are we ordering Manhattans? Is that really the argument? Because it seems like Jack and Cokes is all I hear.
I would make.
Stop being poor.
I'd make. Wait. I mean, we didn't even carry absinthe.
No shit. Okay.
Where
Okay.
I worked at, and I think most. But I mean,
But didn't like all of the bartenders have chlamydia?
maybe. I don't know. I stayed away.
We're not getting tested, Dan. We have student loans. Okay?
Yeah. If someone came into my bar and was like, I'll have a Sazerac, I'll be like, get the fuck out of here. We're in Bloomington, Illinois. You know, that's what I would tell them.
All right. We want to rate it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Who wants to go first?
Not me.
I'll go first. I'm not scared. And Steven, do you want to go first?
Sure.
All right.
I'm going to give it a, let's do a 6.3. I liked it a fair bit better than the Absinthe Le Bleu. I'm giving it only a 6.3 and no higher because to me, basically, it ended up tasting like a slightly more heightened version of the anise or like the black licorice taste, but I didn't really get much else. I feel like the bourbon barrel aging process, again, to me, just from a consumer perspective, I'm sure Alan would have a lot of interesting science behind it, but I feel like in practice, to my layman's taste buds, it didn't really do a whole lot. So I was a little bit disappointed there. But I will say it is more of a sipper. It seems like a smoother overall experience than I really kind of wanted to have the last one with the Absolute Blue with an ice cube and a sugar cube in there. And this one, I was perfectly fine not doing that, but it's very absinthe forward. So you got to know if you're in the market for that or not. Otherwise, for a lot of people who are just getting into it, I think I would recommend the Absinthe Blue personally. So if you're an enthusiast, check it out, but you might have already done that, to be honest. So
Okay.
Yeah, I think
right,
if you're an absinthe enthusiast, it's probably something right up your alley. For something I know Steven doesn't drink a lot of absinthe, and I don't as well. I like this more than the LeBlue. There were some like spicy notes at the end that I actually liked. It was a little, the sweet and spicy type, very sweet on the front, a little spicy on the finish, and then back to sweet at the front of your tongue at the end. I don't drink a lot of absinthe. It's a little difficult for me to score. I'm just going to go a 6.5, pretty close to Steven. It's very easy to sip on, which a lot of absinthes I feel like aren't always the case, but it's good. I don't think like Steven said, the bourbon, the oak barrel does too much. And not that I'm like calling it gimmicky or anything like that. I just think when something is sweeter in taste like this, it doesn't really have an effect from that barrel. That's just me personally, and I don't have the science behind all that, but there were little spicy notes to it, like I said, but all in all, I don't think the barrel did much to it to give it, like a overly bourbon like cousin, I guess, if that makes sense.
No, I think that makes actually perfect sense, Ryan. That might be one of the smartest things you've said on this show ever, like, in my opinion. I'm going to disagree with both of you, though, and I'll give my justification. So I'm going to give this a 7.2 when we're comparing it to the Absinthe LeBlue. And this is not a call for our bourbon drinking listeners to go out, rush out, and buy Fascination Street. Like, look, the folks that listen to our show, both of them, they don't probably know much about absinthe to begin with. You rush out to get this, not because you're a bourbon drinker, because you want to drink a really, 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 really good Manhattan. I'm sorry, Sazerac. A really, 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 really good Sazerac. I can tell you that this gets a 7.2 specifically because how good of a Sazerac this makes compared to what this makes.
Another bourbon show. Another bourbon show. Another bourbon show.
Well, Mark Davis had that like crazy tweet. I forget what was that tweet he had that was like brutal.
I don't know.
Oh, you don't remember that?
No.
Oh, it was when the Michael Floyd thing, or Michael Floyd.
Oh, yeah.
George Floyd. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was brutal.
Yeah.
And he's like,
And
yeah, that was me
Michael
who tweeted
Floyd,
it.
of
I'm
course.
Like, what? Michael Floyd.
Michael Floyd runs Sealbox, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Hey, I want to throw out there real quick though. I do highly recommend going to Steelbox. Like, we're fucking around with Blake about his name, that I forgot his name, which is just
That's
fun.
what we're fucking around with. We're not even fucking around with Blake and his name. We're fucking around with you, basically.
Oh, I know. But anyway, go to steelbox.com. We are not paid to, this is like a heart-to-heart recommendation. They've got some stuff on there that is really hard to get. Like if you're into some craft distilleries like Peerless, Wilderness Trail, that are really great brands that are like craft and you may not know about them,
Smoke Wagon.
go check them out. Is Smoke Wagon available on Steelbox?
That's how I got Smoke Wagon.
No
Small
kidding.
Batch. Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yep.
Did not realize that.
Yeah, and they'll have Smoke Wagon, small batch. They'll have uncut, unfiltered, and they'll have the straight bourbon, pretty regularly, actually.
And like, I didn't know that they had the Smoke Wagon. One of the things I'm always impressed by are their barrel picks that they do. Like, they do their own barrel picks. And anyway, just check them out. See if you want to order some stuff. It's not overpriced. It's not a secondary site at all. It's just a distribution channel for craft distillers.